The Whitmore family's quarterly brunches were never about reconnecting. They were high society showcases of wealth and subtle one-upmanship. On this particular morning, the marble-drenched penthouse in downtown Miami served as the stage for their usual asset parade. I quietly took my place by the balcony, sipping my orange juice while the performance began. "Just bought a beachfront condo in St. Bart's," Bryce declared, pushing his designer sunglasses into his sculpted hair. "Our neighbors are too pro." "Athletes," Simone added, flashing her diamond bracelet like a trophy. "We just purchased a chateau outside Bordeaux, with a vineyard and a helipad," another chimed in. I let their words wash over me like elevator music. If only they knew. "Jasmine," Aunt Lorraine cooed, her voice sweetened with judgment. "You've been awfully quiet." Bryce leaned in, smug. "Still in that tiny Orlando apartment?" Simone added with a condescending giggle. "Near the theme parks, right?" I smiled into my glass. That tiny apartment was actually my first major redevelopment project. Today, it was a thriving luxury complex owned and operated by Solara Equity Group, my firm. They thought I was just scraping by, oblivious to the fact that I was the founder and CEO. "I like the location," I said simply. Aunt Lorraine patted my hand like I was some directionless child. "You're 33, dear. Time to build something real." "Real?" "Try a $1.5 billion portfolio including towers, retail centers, and yes, Whitmore Plaza, the very building we were brunching in. I'd bought it quietly through a blind trust 3 months ago. No one in that room could trace it back to me. I'm doing just fine," I said, folding my napkin. For the first time that morning, they had no clever comeback. "You probably can't even qualify for a mortgage," Bryce sneered. I leaned back and let the silence linger. In 2 weeks, the lease renewal paperwork for Whitmore Plaza would hit their desks, and the letterhead would bear my name. Dad finally looked up from his mimosa. Now, Bryce. Not everyone's blessed with your timing." Aunt Lorraine sighed as if I'd wasted my life by not becoming a trophy wife or crypto influencer. They had no idea I was the architect of a quiet empire. Jasmine Cole, the overlooked Whitmore, was also Solara Equity Group, the discreet juggernaut reshaping Florida real estate. "Speaking of real estate," Simone said, with that fake sparkle in her eyes, "did you hear about the firm that bought all of Palmetto Drive? They're gutting it." Her glance dared me to admit my little apartment might be next. I kept my tone neutral. I was the buyer, and I wasn't gutting anything. That stretch was a heritage district filled with hand-painted tiles and legacy, shops that had outlasted 3 recessions. We were preserving, not erasing. "That's news to me," I replied, calm. Bryce scoffed. "You'd need a trust fund just to enter the room," Aunt Lorraine added sweetly. "If you get pushed out, dear, you can stay with us. We have a guest suite." "I'm fine where I am," I said, and so was my landlord, which was me. "You can't play small forever," Simone chirped. "Coal used to mean something in this city." It still did, just not in the way they understood. Solara was known for revitalizing neighborhoods, not demolishing them for luxury towers. Then Dad said, "This brunch is partly business. The board's concerned about the new owner of Whitmore Plaza." "Are they?" I said, tilting my head. "Solara Equity acquired a controlling stake 6 months ago," he continued, his voice lowering. "No one knows who's behind it. Might be international money." Bryce nodded sagely. "These global investors love landmark properties." If only they knew the mysterious buyer was sitting right in front of them, dressed in clearance rack linen and $30 ballet flats. "They're asking tough questions," Dad added grimly, "especially about the building's financials." Yes. Like why Bryce was billing his jet ski lease to operations, or how Simone's 5-figure spa days counted as strategic planning. "It's probably just routine," Aunt Lorraine said, twirling her pearls. "The Cole name still carries weight." That's the issue, Dad said. This buyer doesn't care about names. They've initiated a full audit. The mood shifted. I could feel it. A subtle panic bubbling beneath their polished facades. An audit wouldn't just expose shady budgeting. It would raise their entire house of cards. Maybe Jasmine could help, Simone offered suddenly, fake sweetness laced with desperation. She's in real estate, right? She might know someone in the management office. Just like that, the family's black sheep became a potential lifeline. I mostly deal with boutique properties, I replied, smooth. Nothing on the scale of Whitmore Plaza. You can't lift a finger for your own family? Bryce snapped. No one came to his defense. Dad had already retreated into his phone, detached again. They had no clue how deeply I was involved, just not in the way that served them. Tomorrow, Solara would issue a formal statement. Whitmore Plaza was under full operational overhaul. No more backdoor budgets, no more sweetheart deals, no more treating a commercial property like a personal ATM. I looked around the penthouse. Every velvet sectional, overpriced light fixture, and gallery piece paid for with building funds. Anyway, I said, rising and smoothing my blouse, some of us have early starts. Simone snorted and strutted off to tour more fixer-uppers in Little Havana, while I slid my worn leather tote over my shoulder. Inside it, documents worth more than every imported vase and overinflated art. Piece in this gaudy penthouse, board presentations, asset strategies, and legal filings that underpinned an empire no one in that room could begin to comprehend. "Oh, Jasmine," Aunt Lorraine called after me in that syrupy voice of hers. "Next time, try something more polished. You're still a Cole, appearances matter." I smiled as I walked toward the elevator, cool and steady. "Don't worry," I said softly. "Tomorrow I'll look exactly how a Cole should. They just don't realize I already run the empire they think they own. If you've been silently rooting for the underestimated black sheep all along, you won't want to miss what happens next." The following morning, I stood in my actual office, an expansive penthouse suite basking in Miami sunlight, finally stepping into the moment I had spent over a year meticulously crafting. Ela, my executive assistant, entered with her usual precision, placing a cappuccino beside my keyboard. "The Whitmore Plaza board has assembled," she said. "Your family's early. Looks like they're trying to sway the independents." I smirked, picturing Bryce flailing between charm and desperation. "Audit packets?" I asked. "Delivered," Ela replied. The forensic review uncovered more than expected. She paused. "You sure you want to go through with this? There's no undoing it." I turned to the window, watching the city below. "They need to learn," I said. "Legacy doesn't excuse corruption." My reflection stared back at me. No longer the girl they underestimated. Gone were the clearance rack, ballet flats. Today I wore a tailored navy Altuzarra suit, sharp, deliberate, a quiet kind of power. The kind of outfit Aunt Lorraine once hoped I'd wear to impress a husband. Now I'd wear it to strip them of their delusions. "The ownership announcement goes live in 20 minutes, Ela said, handing me the sleek tablet. "Once it hits, there's no more mystery." "Perfect," I said, picking up my briefcase. "Let's begin." The boardroom fell silent as I stepped inside. My family huddled at the far end, overdressed, underprepared, visibly rattled. "Excuse me, this is a closed session," Bryce snapped. "Who the hell are you?" I calmly placed my briefcase at the head of the table. "Jasmine Cole," I said, voice unwavering. "Founder and sole owner of Solara Equity, the firm that now owns Whitmore Plaza and several other assets your family has mishandled." Bryce paled. Simone's jaw moved, but no sound came. My father froze, his grip tightening on his Mont Blanc pen. "Jasmine," he whispered. I gave a polite nod. "Good morning." I opened my case and distributed thick audit folders. "Shall we take a look at your accounting?" "This is absurd!" Bryce spat. You're the underachiever, the one in discount shoes." "I worked," I replied evenly. "While you all flaunted inherited privilege, I built something. Quietly, ethically, strategically." The independent board members leaned in, watching as the Whitmore dynasty began to unravel. These folders document every diverted fund, every padded invoice, every business dinner, conveniently billed to the maintenance budget. I slid the final file toward Bryce. "Would you care to explain the $2.3 million in renovation costs that conveniently align with your St. Bart's condo purchase?" He flushed so violently, I thought he might collapse. I turned to Simone. "Or perhaps you'd like to clarify your fiancé's triple-inflated HVAC invoices? You'd drag your own family through this?" Aunt Lorraine gasped, clutching her pearls like a stage actress. "No," I said calmly. "You dragged yourselves. I'm just holding up the mirror." My father finally spoke, his voice low and urgent. "Jasmine, sweetheart, we can explain." "Don't," I said, raising my hand. "You turned Grandfather Whitmore's legacy into a personal piggy bank, mocked my modest lifestyle, and now you expect absolution? While you were posturing, I was building something real." "But why?" Simone whispered, disoriented. "Why hide it?" "I didn't," I said. "I lived simply. You assumed power had to parade itself. The Palmetto Drive units? Yes. I live there. I also own them. And no, I'm not demolishing them, because some of us believe success should uplift people, not bulldoze them." Phones buzzed across the boardroom like a swarm of bees. One of the independent directors looked up, eyes wide. "Solara Equity just confirmed their CEO's identity," he said. "Jasmine Cole, owner of a $2 billion real estate portfolio." Aunt Lorraine fumbled with her phone, reading aloud in disbelief. "Named among top ethical developers in the U.S., known for affordable housing and heritage restoration." "This will destroy us," Simone whispered. "No," I said, stepping forward. "This will save you, from yourselves. Effective immediately, Whitmore Plaza will operate with full transparency. No more sweetheart deals, no more inflated budgets, and if you don't comply—" I paused, locking eyes with Bryce. "I'll submit these files to the IRS, and they're far less polite than I am." The room had fallen still, tension crackling like static until my father finally broke the silence, his voice subdued, almost hollow. "What do you want?" he asked. I met their eyes, one by one, calm, steady. "I want you to remember what the Cole name used to mean before ambition replaced integrity," I said. "Grandfather Whitmore didn't build empires. He built communities." I gathered the thick audit folders with deliberate precision. "You have a choice. Rebuild that legacy with me, or find somewhere else to live. I hear little Haiti has some charming efficiencies." I turned toward the door, but his voice stopped me. "Jasmine, wait. I was wrong about you." I paused, not out of sentiment, but clarity. "Yes," I said. "You were." What followed felt lifted from the pages of a prestige drama. Headlines plastered every major feed. Miami heiress dismantles family empire in stunning corporate takeover. Aunt Lorraine resigned from all her civic boards, her polished image no match for the scandal. Simone's fiancé's shady contracting firm folded within a month. But not everything collapsed. Some of it transformed. Bryce, cornered by the truth for the first time in his life, enrolled in an urban development program at FIU. Simone found purpose volunteering at a women's shelter in Overtown, telling me it meant more than any gallery opening ever had. Even Dad, once the towering patriarch, asked to shadow one of my investment pitches, not as a man reclaiming control, but as someone finally ready to listen. 6 months later, I sat in my modest Palmetto Drive apartment. Yes, I'd kept it, reviewing our latest performance reports. Whitmore Plaza was no longer a monument to opulence, but a hub of steady growth, fair contracts, and thriving small businesses. A soft knock pulled me from the screen. It was my mother. No pearls, no heels, just jeans, and a quiet look in her eyes. "I got your invite," she said, holding up the card. "The courtyard holiday party," I replied. "Not really your scene." "Maybe not," she admitted, looking around the humble space. "But maybe the scene isn't the point anymore." She picked up a photo of me at 23, proudly holding my first real estate license. "I never asked, why this path?" "Because I wanted to build something real," I said. "Not buy it, not brag about it, build it." She nodded, slowly. "And now, you control more than all of us ever did." "I do," I said. "But control was never the goal. Purpose is." She looked at me, eyes soft. "Will you teach me?" "Come tonight," I said. "Meet the families who've lived here for decades. Listen to their stories. That's where legacy begins." That evening, I stood by my window, the city of Miami glowing below like it was applauding in silence. Whitmore Plaza rose in the distance, not a shrine to greed, but a resurrected symbol of accountability. Below me, Palmetto Drive pulsed with quiet life, herb gardens, hand-painted murals, children playing in a courtyard that used to be forgotten. My phone buzzed. Partnership offers, speaking invites, headlines celebrating Solera equity as a new gold standard in ethical development. But I kept my mornings slow, my calendar light. I wasn't chasing applause. I was building permanence. Because sometimes the one they overlooked becomes the one they look up to. And the most powerful success stories aren't loud. They're lasting. A week later, at the holiday party, I stood beneath garden lights, watching my family acclimate to a world they once dismissed. My mom sat with Mrs. Alvarez, who'd lived here 41 years, listening like it was the first time she'd truly heard another woman. Bryce was stringing lights with Mr. Daniels, our Vietnam vet. Simone handed out tamales, laughing with kids who'd made her glittery ornaments. They were learning. Real wealth isn't in possessions. It's in what you protect, uplift, and honor. Dad joined me at the cocoa stand. "You know," he said, "your grandfather believed buildings should protect people, not just profit from them." I nodded. "I found his old journals," I told him. "Notes about fair rent, small businesses, dignity. We lost that." He looked at me, not with pride or shame, but recognition. "You could have destroyed everything." I smiled. That was never the point. I wanted to build something that would outlive all of us. So if this story struck a chord, drop a comment below. Tell me what quiet victories you've earned when no one was clapping. What legacy are you crafting in silence? Let's talk about the resilience it takes to keep going when belief in you comes only from within. And if you're standing on the edge of your own turning point, don't wait for applause. Begin quietly. Begin with purpose. And if this journey speaks to you, subscribe. There are more stories ahead. Tales of silent strength, second chances, and the kind of success that doesn't seek validation. Because legacy isn't something you inherit. It's something you create. And sometimes, the best revenge isn't revenge at all. It's becoming exactly who they swore you'd never be.